EWTN News in Depth recently launched a new series, Life After Roe, Debate in the States, which takes a closer look at how 6 different states across the country would either limit or promote abortion after Roe.
Maryland citizens, taxpayers pay about $6.5 million annually to reimburse abortionists through Medicaid.
The first state featured was Maryland. Reporter Mark Irons visited the state's capital and spoke to a couple of pro-life advocates who told him that about 10,000 elective abortions a year are funded via Maryland taxpayer dollars. According to the Guttmacher Institute, almost 30,000 abortions take place in this deep blue state annually. And joining us now via Skype is Montse Alvarado, host of EWTN News in Depth. Montse, thanks so much for joining us. Tell us about this new pro-life series that your show is airing. What was the motivation for it?
You know, Prudence, no one knows this issue better than you do and your team, but we wanted to give it a little more breadth, a little more context, dig a little deeper into these individual states so that our viewers have some context as to what they will be facing in a post-Roe reality. Should the court do anything that affects the right to abortion in this country, we wanted them to understand what are the dynamics that Catholics should be aware of. What should they be thinking about? Is it the political space? Is it the cultural space? Is it what we do as pro-lifers when we bring our faith into the public square?
So important. And the series will target 6 states. How did you and your team select these specific states to go into, and what do you hope to accomplish from these reports?
We hope that these states will provide a different perspective. Every state has a different composition. It's geographically different. The people that are there, the way that they set themselves up politically, and whether they have an enshrined right to abortion in their state constitution or not, or whether they're about to pass a law that is going to do that.
And in last week's report on Maryland, very interesting, we heard about the National Network of Abortion Funds, which has a presence in that state. And the goal of this group is to ensure that women who can't afford abortions or women living in states where abortion is limited can receive the funds to come to Maryland for an abortion. Does it surprise you at all that Maryland is a state that has these funds available? And with initiatives like this, what's it going to take to protect the unborn if Roe is overturned?
The reality is that it's not surprising to see Maryland do something like this. It was the petri dish, if you will, of all of the contraceptive mandate initiatives, these government-mandated laws and regulations that were forcing nonprofits and businesses to pay for abortifacients and contraceptives 10 years ago. All of these things that we're seeing at the federal level are kind of hatched in places like California, but also Maryland, very close by. So we're looking at these states very specifically to see what's coming next and what we can do about it. And what the other side, the pro-abortion side, is going to want to invest in.
Very interesting. And the second episode of this pro-life series will air Friday at 8 p.m. on EWTN. Could you give us a sneak peek?
Absolutely. Your former host, Catherine Hadrove, is the one who's taking on Florida, her home state. And she's going to tell us what's going on there and why it's different and unique. Take a listen to her piece.
I think we have a court that would love to revisit this issue and would interpret things differently. So yes, we're obviously waiting on the United States Supreme Court to weigh in. Our court is probably going to have some work to do as well. There will be litigation, but I think at the end of the day, we'll win.
Really looking forward to that. And finally, Montse, we at Pro-Life Weekly want to congratulate you and your team on the 1-year anniversary of EWTN News in Depth. What has this past year been like for you?
It's been a whirlwind trying to launch a show during the COVID pandemic, but an exciting moment for the team to dig in and increase the offerings that we give our viewers as an EWTN team. So we're glad to be there alongside with you. 5 years old for Pro-Life Weekly and 1 year for EWTN News in Depth.
Montse Alvarado, host of EWTN News in Depth. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.